Ms. Byrd?
Father God, we thank you, we give your name praise, and we give your name glory. We ask, God, that you order our steps on today, God, concerning the county, concerning the citizens. We ask you to bless those that have authority over us. Let's be on one mind and one accord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, your roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Henry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018 at 5 p.m. in the County Commission Chambers in LaBelle, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Mitchell Wills, Vice Chair Emma Byrd, Commissioner Darrell Harris, Commissioner Michael Swindle, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Charles Chapman, County Attorney Mark Lapp, and Clerk Barbara Butler.
Before we get to the consent agenda, we had an add-on here. It was concerning the polling places. Is Ms. Hoots here? Everyone had a chance to, everyone see that in the,
But does she just need a motion to accept?
yes, sir, as what I understand, we just had to make a motion to accept that she moved the polling place. Is that what we were, Mr. Lapp?
So I didn't work with her on
There
There
this.
she is. Ms. Hoots, we were just talking about you. Yes, ma'am. It was all good, though. Would you come up and join us real quick? We're looking at moving the polling place.
A few feet.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Brenda Hoot, Supervisor of Elections.
All right.
Hello, Board. How's everyone tonight?
Hello. Well,
Okay.
Let's get with it.
Get with it. Okay. I am letting you know that we have used Grace Baptist Church in Port LaBelle for a few years. And due to the storm, they have some damage that has then caused mold to get between their walls. They're having problems with their insurance companies, not getting any response, and would like us not to use their facilities anymore.
All right.
So, I've checked out several other sites. I don't know if you for me to list them or not.
No, you can just tell us the one that you want to
I would
use.
like to go to Good Shepherd. They've welcomed us with open arms.
Mr. Chairman, you like that idea?
sounds good.
All right, I make a motion to approve the suggestion by the Supervisor of Elections.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. Any further discussion?
You good with that, Ms. Hoots?
I'm good.
Good?
We're ready to roll. All right. we'll
Seeing
get
none,
started.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoops.
Thank you,
Takes us to the consent agenda.
I would like to pull item E, the Henry LaBelle Rec Board. You boys are up to it again, I can see. And then I would make a motion to approve the balance.
I'll second.
Motion moved to accept the balance of the consent agenda, pulling E1. Second by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. Any more discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E1.
Mr. Chairman, that wasn't in our book, was it?
No, sure it was an add-on.
Okay, good deal.
I've got it right here.
Could you just give us a once-over, Commissioner Harris?
Okay, everything was in the book, but.
And is our insurance company going to cover this?
The insurance is gonna cover 100%. Everything was in the book, but the bleachers for $5,399, and we've already, backstop's $35,000, so the balance is $51,386.86. That's gonna be 100%.
You feel that that they're going to get all this done in a timely manner so that
Yes,
we're not going to
sir.
delay any?
No.
Okay, outstanding.
It's great.
Okay,
The timeline,
Any
they're
other-
ready to go tomorrow.
all right, outstanding. You good?
Further discussion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. Seeing no other further discussion, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That'll bring us to awards and appearances. Got a proclamation, appointing time and count day. We have no recipients for that?
No, sir. This was a proclamation for your consideration only.
Make a motion to approve said proclamation.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner to approve, second by Commissioner Harris. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Strategic plan, the reinvestment grant. You have
He's coming up first.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Good afternoon, board, how are you?
Great, Mr. Ross.
Very good.
Well, I come back before you all today because a couple months ago,
State your name, please.
I'm sorry. I'm Kimberly Ross with the Hamlet Center. A couple months ago, I came before the board asking your participation in the reinvestment grant, and you all granted us your participation. So today I come to give you an update on where we are as far as the reinvestment grant is concerned. For months, we have been meeting and going over what were the needs for Hendry County as far as how juveniles are concerned. This issue with the reinvestment grant covers substance abuse and mental health. You all should have had in your packet this sequential intercept map. Were you all given a copy of this? It was emailed to us. I did email you all, and I gave Mrs. Daniel a copy to give to the board members. What we're asking for today is your continued support. The last meeting that we have held on December the 18th finalized the assessment process for the grant. The next phase will be the actual grant writing. We had participation, Don Oliver was the chair for the board, and we had participation from the Sheriff Department, Crossroads, Department of Juvenile Justice, Hendry County School Board, and our Commissioner, Ms. Emma Bird, was also there. And this committee has decided that they will move forward with putting the grant together, and that process is going to take another 9 to 12 months. So they will reconvene in 3 months to start the grant writing process. But the committee is asking for your continued support in this process.
I'm good. Anybody objecting to not being supportive?
I think we need to
Any
stay
concerns that y'all like to voice? I'm good.
Keep rolling.
Have you been, did you
Yes.
go, you've been going to the meeting?
I've been going to the meetings. They've been very good meetings. The participation has been very good, targeting our youth mental health issues. So it's a good board.
I move to accept.
Second.
Thank you all.
Motion
Thank
to
you.
accept by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Long-term recovery efforts in Hendry County. I know I'm not going to get this name right, so I'm going to need a little help.
Is she here?
Yes,
Just call her Ann.
just call her in.
Sorry, it's a long Italian name. I'll just send it right over here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, commissioners, for having me. Teresa Ranciata Feely here with you. Hello, Mr. Harris. So, I was asked, I requested on behalf of the long-term recovery group to come here. And when I did speak to somebody in the administration, they just said, who's here from FEMA? So really quickly, you have two groups. The Community Planning Capacity Building Team, which I think you're all aware of, and they're here to work on a community level or county level. They interface with you as far as helping the community build up on a higher level planning. I'm a FEMA VAL, that's a voluntary agency liaison. Oh, thank you. I just talk loud then. Okay. What I do is I interface with your community members. Mr. Harris happens to be one of them. Right now in Hendry County, sharing with Glades, you have a long-term recovery group. And I want to explain why that's important and what it means, and to ask that they get support from the county, meaning more people to be involved with them. Long-term recovery is long-term. It starts at the beginning. You guys know the second something happens in your community, your churches, and your groups are out there. That's how it's going to end. FEMA's going to go away pretty soon. They're going to go away. Insurance, it either helped people or it didn't, and some people it helped to a certain level. That's all they had. And they're going to have unmet needs. Other people didn't register with FEMA. I have all the numbers, but I think you know them too. But there's about, I think the last I saw was about $960,000 in unmet needs in your county. And that's just your county. That's not counting Glades. And I know you share a lot of things, so I'm going to include Glades in here. Glades had about $600,000. And those are your friends and neighbors. Do you have a question?
I mean,
Anybody? Okay.
Just adding the numbers, 1.5,
Okay.
6,
About 1.5.
6.
Basically, a long-term recovery group is formed to meet those needs. Right now, you should all be really proud of what you have, because you have a group of citizens that met. They have a mission statement, they have bylaws, they have an elected committee, and they actually have a fiduciary. They're working with your United Way. That means they'll be able to take funds in.
if you don't have a long-term recovery group, you're going to have scattered assistance. So right now in your county, the Mennonites are staying over in Glades. They're starting to help. UMCOR, the Methodist group, they're starting to help. Okay, they have a construction coordinator. But if you have a long-term recovery group, you actually have access to NVOAD, the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. They represent dozens of national groups. On the state level, they have hundreds of groups. So that means that if they recognize your long-term recovery group, they will be coming with assistance. Presbyterian Disaster will come. They might help with technical. They'll hire a coordinator for your group. They'll pay for that for 1 or 2 years. The UMCOR is already here. You'll have groups that will come in. Team Rubicon will come in with help. The Jewish Federation comes in. The Lutheran Disaster people are already active in different areas. The Amish people come down. I have a group that wants to come down here from New Jersey because they're a church group and they got so much help during Sandy that they want to pay it back down here now. So without that long-term recovery group being here, these groups don't have a place to go. And you have disaster case management as well. So they're going to be out there now in your community getting all these cases. You have one case manager that's handling 2 counties. He is being overwhelmed. But he's doing a great job trying to get all those cases because people are out there, they had the roofs destroyed, maybe they had 1 or 2 leaks, now they have mold. You probably all know that. I know that one of the commissioners has someone living with them right now who has they had FEMA help, they had insurance, but it's just not enough. So those are the people who are out there. And basically I'm just here to ask that you get the word out for the long-term recovery group. Rotary Club has been very, very receptive. I think they're going to help with some funding. The other groups are starting to come, and they will be an unmet needs table. The cases will be heard. They will prioritize them, and they'll be able to help the community. But what they really need are some more volunteers. So I'm going to ask you all to go out. I just came down from Highlands. I was very jealous. Highlands had somebody there from their school board. Highlands had somebody there from their biggest car dealership. The group is great, but they really need some help. So that's what I'm just here to ask. I want you to know what's going on in your community and be really proud, but know that they do need some assistance.
Chairman?
Bodies.
Yes, sir. When you say they need assistance, are you wanting actual bodies to put in sweat equity? Or?
Participate in those meetings. Yeah, volunteer maybe to be on a commission. I know they sent out letters to all the churches and other groups in the area asking them to come. There's a meeting at noon at 1 o'clock, Carlson Memorial, this coming Friday. They've been meeting on Fridays at 1. No, asking really to know what's going on in the community and to maybe, you're all busy, but is there somebody you know where you work or whatever to send out there to help out?
And then one other question, Mr. Chair. For constituents that, I don't know how we're working with this, but I'm sure we have some code enforcement issues that are directly correlated to Hurricane Irma. Have you all helped to identify that? And is there a grace period or anything like that? And then are you telling me that you have work crews that are assembled, but is your big problem that you don't have constituents identified where work can be performed, or is
That's one of the problems, yes.
Okay.
And they're going out there. And actually, I also begged and got an AmeriCorps team to be coming in here as well. All of these volunteer groups, though, and this is going to be discussed on Friday, they also need places to stay. So they need churches, they need campgrounds. The Methodist camp has been very, gracious and had people, but these groups just need a place to sleep and basically, just somewhere to cook their meals. They also like if you cook for them, but you don't really have to do that. But that's what we need. But yes, as far as identification, the case management team is now doing that. The state has released, I think they're releasing $26 million, and the case managers will be coming in on the ground. So they'll be identifying more of those needs. But the long-term recovery group actually had their own mechanism, and they've been out there in the community soliciting and finding out what needs there are on their own as well.
Mr. Chairman, I would just ask that, that our county administrator, along with our public information officer, kind of engage in this conversation a little bit more. Maybe, maybe they even identify somebody on the staff level. This is not the first I'm hearing of your program, but I would like to be brought up to speed and help identify some constituents that are in dire need of assistance. And then I think also that there's some resources that could possibly be available with regards to housing volunteers.
That would be great.
On the east side.
That would be fantastic. Okay, and
We-
any
we just-
questions?
we
I
just
have
need
a
to
card.
Spread the word.
Yeah, that's really what you need to do. So I will leave my cards over here, and you could feel free to call me.
Thank you, ma'am.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is this something, do we need a motion on this, Mark, or no? We're good? Okay. I'll move into awards and appearances. I'm sorry, public hearings. I've got lost there.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Myra Johnson, Henry County Planning and Zoning Coordinator.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve after following the public hearing. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I saw that the LPA was a 5-0 vote of support. I've read through, made myself very familiar. If y'all want to sit through the presentation, I understand, but,
I'll second the motion.
I don't know if we need to reprove this or not.
okay. You got to watch that guy that's in charge of this joint, I heard.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
We got a motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle.
Public hearing.
This is going to be a hearing of the public. Does anyone in the public would like to speak to this matter? Seeing none? Any further discussion on the board?
For your vote.
Before we vote, I'm going to be abstaining from, I didn't forget you, Mr. Flapp. I'll be abstaining from the vote on this. I actually have a little bit of interest in this. So I'll be abstaining. So when we move into a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I abstain.
All right.
Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Congratulations, Commissioner Wills.
Thank you. We'll be collecting checks next week so we can start building.
Oh, Lord. Hook you up with female there.
Okay. Moving along.
Yes, sir.
You're next again?
I'm next again. It's the second public hearing that's going before you. It's the revision of the Henry County Code of Ordinance, Section 1-5858-58 submittal requirements, and Section 1-58-59 site development plan review.
Chair, I would make a motion once again to approve said amendments with one question.
Yes, sir.
On 5859, what you're doing there is you're going to remove these requirements. So if I have a survey that's valid, no matter how archaic it is, it's going to be utilized. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay. That frustrates me to no end whenever I have a survey that's approved, it's sealed, it's signed, it's ready to go. but I
Staff
gotta
is
go
working
update.
on being more development friendly
Yeah.
and help the
That's
ballot.
good. That's a good thing.
And they're doing a great job.
The friendly part.
We got a motion by Commissioner Turner. Who was the second? Ms. Bird's the second. This is a meeting of the public. Does anyone in the public wish to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Myra didn't get to speak long enough.
I think she done amazing.
She needs to come back.
Okay, any questions under the correspondence in there? Moving to staff reports, Mr. Chapman?
Yes, sir. The first item up is the submission of federal, state, or foundation grant applications for the Promise Zone initiatives and identify resources for matching funds when required, to be presented by Ms. Papineau, our grants director.
Good evening. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to submit the grant funding applications for the initiatives associated with thereof.
By Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Feel good about it, Ms. Papineau?
Yes,
Good.
because sometimes our meeting times don't quite coordinate, and sometimes you have to jump right on these applications.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very
for-
much.
Thank you for being on.
Did good.
Keep us moving. Yeah, very good. Mr. Chapman, you're still,
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the next item for discussion presented to you was directed back in October of 2017 for staff to look at animal control operations in light of different vocal groups coming out and having opposed the change in the ordinance amendment from a 5-day hold to a 3-day hold period. After a review and an extensive write-up that has been presented to you tonight, I'm happy to discuss any points within that write-up. However, I'll just move directly to the options that are being presented for the board to consider. And to read it into the record officially would be to the board to take a vote to direct staff to amend the ordinance back to a 5-day holding period, coordinate and host a roundtable of animal control, animal welfare stakeholders to discuss ways to improve animal control operations countywide, and to revisit the interlocal agreements from 1986 and suggest revisions to services provided.
I would make a motion to approve option one as stated by our county administrator. And
Second.
if we need to have a discussion about it, I'm all about it. I look forward to engaging in the roundtable discussion.
Okay,
Everybody okay? What was that?
There's a bomb.
Say that.
Stephanie Nelson, what was that, you think?
Probably the door
Doors.
closing.
But anyway, what I think's gonna happen, correct me, Charles, is it's gonna be a roundtable with the two cities, county, and other people involved, because we don't want to do something that the city don't want to do, or Clewiston don't want to do. We want everybody on the same page, is that correct?
That is correct. To be very specific, Hendry County itself does not have an animal control department. We contract out animal control services between the two cities for each geographic location east and west of the county. They will have to be at the table to discuss things that are working well for them, things that are not working well for them, what model do they currently have, but more importantly, with the amount of engagement that we've seen from the public and from the various not-for-profits that are engaged in animal welfare activities within the county, I think this would be a good opportunity for us to invite them to the table. Let's take a look at the models that we're currently employing and to see if there's a way that we can make things better overall and not be redundant between the different agencies, but create a complementary system that works more efficiently.
And then whatever happens, it'll be the whole county, not just
Sure.
part of the county.
The goal would be to reach consensus that it would be the same policies, same procedures, and same programs being offered on both sides of the
Because
county.
you don't want Doug picking up a dog 5-day over here and it's 3-day here, stuff like that. It all should be one.
The goal would be to look at operational models, funding, space,
Yeah.
the whole nine.
Space, money, funding. When you get around that round table, I think y'all will come to work it out.
Can I inject a few things here? As we have multiple members of the audience, and I'm a pet owner, a livestock owner, and have been my whole life, live on a farm, so I'm as passionate as anyone about this. And so I went and spent time at the facility that Doug runs, and if you have not, I would encourage all of you to do so, and spend some time talking to Doug in depth about this. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think that I think even Doug full well supports the movement and the action that we're taking here tonight. I don't think that he has a problem with it at all. He has stated his stance and why it was moved, but nonetheless, that's fine, and he understands why and the need to do this, and he's in full support. From my standpoint, what I would like to encourage, because I don't know if I'll be invited to the round table or not, I don't know if the right people will or not, but what I would like to say is this. The facilities that he's operating there, I believe, are older than I am. He's already had a capacity issue. Adding days is going to add more, pets there, which that's part of it. That's part of the game. I get it, and that's okay, and I'm okay with that. But the facilities need to be looked at, and they need to be looked at because we're going to get into a crowding issue. Furthermore, to add to that, the September 11th and 12th storm that we all lived through, those of us that work the shelters, a general population shelter with 500 folks in it, and folks showing up with pets is not conducive. It did not work well. We need hardened shelters that we can take pets to, and that they're safe there, and the owner's got the option to take your pet to that shelter, and you can go to the people's shelter if you would like, or sit in your car, or whatever you think is hunky-dory for you. But one of the things that needs to drive this discussion is, now that we've got the city, the counties, the both cities, a great group of passionate individuals about keeping animals safe every day and in a safe environment, as well as during a storm, we need to make sure that we move that forward, be it through grants, be it through whatever we have to do. But that needs to be a focal point, is that we improve the facilities and make sure that they're safe all the time for all animals. So I hope that becomes a part of this conversation.
And you know what, I do too, and I do by going back out in the community, talking to people that do have pets. I think it's more than just the 5 days, so the round table is going to be well needed to open up some other discussions concerning that. So I'm looking forward to the round table.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Is there any further discussion?
Chairman, I'll wait until we vote on the motion.
All right. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, as it relates to this issue, I joke around that I dislike puppies or whatever, but y'all know I got like 17 dogs, and I'm actually babysitting employees' dogs right now that are on the road on some of our construction projects. We have really nice kennels for them, and I picked up a stray yesterday. He's on Facebook right now. I think I'm tagged in it. If y'all could please share that, and I'm being dead serious. He's a cute puppy. We're not turning him into jail. We've got a 72-hour hold on him, and then we're going to let him get arrested, but we're going to give him with a note that says we want to take him back if he doesn't. He's a sweetheart. But all that being said, this is when you start talking about people's pets, you start talking about people's babies. It's the same thing. And Lisa and I are weird. Our dogs are like our children. And, we just want to find a happy place for everybody. I'm really happy that everybody wants to make sure that the cities are both on the same page with us as it relates to this issue. I will tell you, I tried to do the Good Samaritan thing during Hurricane Irma. Y'all don't tell Lisa this, but I took 3 kennel, the carriers, pet carriers. I took them up to Clueston High School, and I didn't get any of them back. And one of them was an extra large one for my Great Dane. I was very angry that I didn't get that back. Lisa doesn't know they're going yet, so y'all just hold that between us. But I've already bought new ones. I digress, as usual. We need to have this discussion. I think Doug is trying to do the best job possible with the resources that he has available to him. I've seen some really good data sets in here. It's amazing how cheap we're holding a dog per day in comparison to our region. And I know that the work at the Clueston Humane Society has been nothing short of amazing the past few years. I didn't make the Peace, Love, and Pause event this year. And I look forward to seeing them at the table. I'm sure you all are aware, Miss Kathy Irie and her cohort there were Chamber Citizens of the Year for the City of Clueston, and they do this on a daily basis. So this is a conversation that needs to be had. I don't know how it's going to affect the bottom line, but when it comes to animals, they're just like the little children and veterans and elderly people. It's what pulls at your heartstrings, and it's what you always take care of. So we need to engage that discussion. I do hope that you'll have it after 5 o'clock. I had 2 or 3 texts today with people saying they could not be here. We're working people, and they can't be here during the daylight hours a lot of times. So we need to be mindful of that. And I think this is also one of those things that another idea is either holding it in a general locale like at the Pioneer Community Center and LaBelle and Clueston, or just having it, having 2 of them. But you're not going to be able to meet this in one meeting. There's going to be people that can't attend. So just be mindful of that as well. So.
If I could just ask that the board members, if you know of, I'd like to refer to them as community spark plugs, so the people that get the engine going. If you know who these individuals are, please send me their name, number, email, so that I can reach out to them and get them connected. Obviously, we know about the Clueston Humane Society. There's a handful of other not-for-profits that do this type of work, but this is going to be boots on the ground, grassroots, neighbor to neighbor, full contact, and trying to get a right-sized solution set. I would love to be able to say tonight that the ultimate goal would be to move to a no-kill shelter. I can't answer that question right now. I don't know if it's feasible, but we need to have the conversation with the stakeholders to see what size facility do we need. Do we have a pet-friendly shelter design or idea in place? What are the fee structures and what does that look like? I mean, this is going to get very granular. So I wish I could say it'd be 1 to 2 meetings. I think this is going to be more like a 6 to 8 meeting type commitment. Because we're going to have to take on different aspects of the animal control ecosystem and really break it down to its essential levels.
And that is going to be a discussion we need to have, because, the pet-friendly facilities, everyone in Lee County was. And the reality is we have people here that is the way it is. Their pet is their family. So we're going to really have to look at providing a pet-friendly shelter. It's just my opinion. I know it's tough, but I visited a lot of the shelters myself during the storm, and there was a lot of people that wouldn't leave their mobile home because they couldn't take their pet.
Yeah.
So that's really stuff we need to, we need to look at that. We need to make sure that our constituents are safe and their pets are as well. So I think it'd be a good discussion. Like Commissioner Turner said, we do need to make that available to the public to where they can be there, whether it be on a Saturday or whatever the case may be, or after hours. So.
What do they have in Clueston?
As-
Shelter-wise?
Schools, high school.
Now I'm
Same
talking about
thing.
for the dogs.
Regular time or during the storm
I'm
event?
talking about like for the dogs.
You're talking about right now,
For
Commissioner Harris?
the emergency shelter, or just?
No, sir, just regular.
It's similar to what Doug has, yeah. Maybe a little bit newer version of it, but, yeah.
It's a lot, it's a lot newer,
Right.
yeah.
And that's run.
Not hardened by any means, if
It's
that's what you
run
mean.
through the city, though.
Yes.
But over 60% of their income comes from us? 50% of their funding mechanism comes from the county. And that's one thing that I really want to look at, is, label me a left-wing nut, Democrat, liberal on this one, but we've got to get into a situation where and this is such a such a hard thing to balance. And Miss Irie and I had this discussion of how do you, I don't want my dog chipped, but, I'm kind of anti-Social Security number. I'm anti-Big Brother as much as I can. I don't like video. I don't like, you drive down 27, there's 13 cameras on us between now and Clewiston. But the point I'm making is that I don't know how you not penalize the good behavior pet owners in an effort to get a one-size-fits-all. That's a difficult thing. But I will tell you, I have a strong problem when I drive down Hookers Point Road and I see someone that has their 65-pound dog, fill in the blank. I don't know if he's a blue pit. I don't know if he's a black-mouthed cur. I don't know if he's a great Catahoula that one of my dogs knocked up on a weekend, binge, which has happened, okay? But, he's in a crate that's built for, a lap dog, and he has no sun protection, and or he's tied off to a tree that's dead, and, he has a cup of water. At the same time, I don't want our animal control people going ballistic when Gavin Williams pulls up to Beef O'Brady's after working cows all morning. He's going to lunch at 2 and he doesn't have a full trough of water in there, and they're giving him a citation. I'm not saying that has happened. I'm just saying we have to be mindful of all those scenarios because, we're a unique community. We have all ends of the spectrum. I guarantee you in Boca Raton or in Naples, they don't have a 15-foot gooseneck horse trailer with 2 horses and 6 black-mouthed curs and 2 Catahoulas and a blue heeler rolling up, on 5th Street, and that animal control officer has to deal with that. Ever in the history of downtown Naples have they, maybe in the history, but they ain't done it in recent years, nor in downtown Fort Myers. So that peg ain't gonna fit in our square hole, So we need to have that, and then we've got to be understanding that. When we go into Doc Shoemaker's clinic and we start saying we want every dog in Hendry County to be registered, you're getting into who, and that's going to be a $4 charge. How do you engage that mechanism to get that $4 back to animal control? I don't know, and then that's Ms. Butler, I don't know. There's funding mechanisms that come in that you collect that, it's a nightmare situation. You've explained that to us on the cemeteries and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of great minds around the table. I look forward to a resolution on this issue and having, all the variables be discussed. So
Is this going to be a workshop, or is it going to be a roundtable?
This will be a working group roundtable that will meet. The intention is that it will be a closed working group initially so that we can have the harder conversations, but then we will move it into more of a public meeting to present some of the ideas and maybe workshop and get some different ideas. But the initial will be a roundtable. Most likely the first one will be at my conference room, and then we'll move it over into Clewiston, et cetera. And then as we get our hands around suggestions, we'll bring it to a public forum for comment.
Yeah, we do have some folks that want to address this. First one, Ms. Walker.
Oh,
There she comes. You was in the front row.
I'm not feeling too sporty. Sorry. Sherry Walker. I live at 750 Evans Road. Thank you for doing what you're doing. We appreciate everybody's, like you going and visiting. I know some of you went and visited. We just want to tell you thank you. We look forward to helping in any way that we can. And we just appreciate what you guys are doing. And Doug, I'm so glad that we can work more together on this now because we're friends. So this has been kind of hard when you're friends with somebody and then you've got a difference of opinion. But we've done very well to agree to disagree. And we're going to stay friends because that's what's important. But we just want to tell you thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This, Ms. Irie?
Kathy Irie, school teacher, and I've been working in animal control since 2010. I pretty much go there every day except when I travel up north to go see my kids. So I really have learned a whole lot about the dynamics of animal control and the community. And I just want to say thank you for looking into this. I think, Commissioner Bird, were you able to give them those? Okay, so everything's on there to give you some kind of insight into the Clewiston side. So there's really nothing else to say because it's on the paper and you all covered it, but I would like to show you one of the reasons why we believe every dog has a chance, with the exception of that small minority, okay? And this is called Second Chance, but these are dogs that we've gotten in the pound that normally under normal circumstances would have been put down. I don't really want to go through every one of them, but that was what was called a feral cat. And as a result, Naples Cat Alliance, one of the big players, I mean huge, over hundreds of cats she saved, or the facility saved, takes the big old cats that nobody wants, and that's where they end up. That's pretty much, he was found in a tree farm in Clewiston, and his mouth was shattered. Normally people would just put him down. But what I've done is I'll take a picture, I'll post it on Facebook, or I've got a whole slew of people that I try to work with. And I'll send them pictures and they'll say yes or no. I feel like every rescue has a right to say no, but they won't say no or yes if they don't know. So, and he, there's his end result. That cat, I forget what they call him, he was the cemetery cat. And look at him, now. It's just incredible what these rescues have done. Lola was a Presa Canario. She came out of Montura.
Wow.
Amara came out of Montura, the reservoir where she had been a bait dog. They both ended up with this couple in the Orlando area, and look at them now. They would have been put down. The rescue world is incredible. These are all ones that have made it out. One of ours he's a show dog. He's jumping and competing. This one came in, a little girl from school came in and told us about it. He was fixed and he's got a home. And that says it. As long as we can connect with the people and know that it's a good place, we get them out.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
Not that I want to, you can keep going or whatever, but I believe you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you'd been working with the Clewiston shelter since
2007.
Can I correct me if I'm wrong you've been volunteer working, right?
Yes, I've been volunteering.
Right,
but to the
okay.
point
I wanted to
where
make sure
I got
everybody
work
knew
there.
that.
Yeah.
You said working, but I wanted to make sure everyone knew that it was a volunteer, and that's key. Because even in my conversations with Doug, they're strapped for resources, they're strapped for help, and they're going to need more help as we talk about growing. They're going to need more help as we talk about new facilities, larger facilities, more animals. And so I hope everybody sees that you're kind of the apex model of what we need, from the community to help.
Yes, sir. You need at least 3 people working with you, and I happen to be the third pretty much, and I deal with the rescues. This one was found in a field in Harlem, and they were giving me they were giving me to the end of the day to find a rescue, or they were going to put it down. There she is now. So there's a whole slew of people out in the community on the east and the west coast that have saved our animals. And it's finding them and working with them. And it happens.
How often do you post them?
Every day.
As they come in.
Every day, even when
As they
I'm
get 'em.
gone. I get phone calls, and it's a lot of hard work. I'm not going to deny it. It's a tremendous amount of work. Sometimes I just throw my phone away, But there's the results. He definitely would have been put down.
Yeah.
Look at Hope now.
Right.
My biggest thing that I learned was I thought all dogs were old and ugly that went to the pound. It's not the case at all. This one I happened to find her because I was trying to give food to somebody and missed the house, and there she was.
Pennsylvania, it's cold there. I bet that dog's mad. Man, get me back to Florida.
Oh, it's my.
I get a lot of
Like
pictures, updates on these. Old dogs, there's my old dog. I was told one time, you know, Kathy, those dogs are out in those faraway places nobody wants. Well, she's in a home. You just have to get it out there.
Okay, are there many more?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch more.
Okay.
That's
We got it, we get it.
Thank you, Trish, for putting that together. So that's it.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Irie.
Thank you, Ms. Irie. Ms. Spindle. Ms. Spindle here?
Ditto to what they said. I'm done.
You're good? You're good. Okay. Okay, Mr. Lapp?
Move on to my agenda items, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the first item is the lease with Skydive Air Adventures. This is the third amended and restated lease. I went over it in the staff report, and the lease is there. Just two clarifying points. One, there is an attachment, an Exhibit A to the lease. It's a diagram of the terminal, just so you know what it is. It wasn't attached, but it's the terminal. The other document, the operational agreement for the skydive operations, the four-party agreement I talked about at the end of my memo that wasn't ready at the time I prepared the packet. It's been drafted, but it's still under some review and negotiation with the skydive group. So what I would ask is that you approve the lease and that the operations agreement will come back to you next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Can we discuss a little bit before we do?
Sure, we're going to discuss it, yeah.
Wait, can you restate what you said? We're going to talk about the lease first and come back to the operations piece?
No, he said he wants us to approve the lease.
Yeah.
And then and at the next meeting, he's going to come back and detail the operations aspect.
Okay. Operations being the conditions upon which they may have to move, or is that,
Oh, no.
That's all part of the lease?
No, the operations is the skydiving operations, is the
Yeah.
logistics of the releases and the
Yeah,
proof
yeah.
of insurance.
The piece where we're talking about where once they may have to move and what we cover and stuff like that, that's part of the lease.
That's the lease.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have heartburn with
I
something?
have a little heartburn, not a major heartburn, but mild heartburn. And the only thing that stood out to me, and I had a quick conversation with Mr. Chapman about it, is it's saying that we will absorb some cost if they need to be moved. The county will retrofit, build an office, move some things, to make it conducive for an office environment. We're not doing this for us. We're not doing this for Henry County. We're not doing this at our request. Number one is Everglades funds able to pay for that? And number two, if not, then is this something that AIA needs to engage in? I don't want to use Henry County money to pay for that.
What I understand, Everglades would pay for it, or it wouldn't get done.
It would come out of the Everglades account.
Right.
Okay.
Just like every other aspect of maintenance
Okay,
and whatnot.
because that's not what this says. And I just want to make sure that we, and I'm okay with that, and I hope that's exactly right, but I mean, this says Hendry County.
You have no problem with us billing like for like.
I do not, as long as it's Everglades
But isn't that
money
right,
doing that.
Warren?
I can answer that question. So the pot of funds that we were considering, should we have to do this under our ownership? We have two line items. We have the Everglades funds that we could use. There's also the 1.5 million Customs and Border Patrol grant that we're in negotiations with DEO to receive, and that has a 5-year lifespan to build the project. If we have to relocate the Hornsby's operations because we are implementing the scope of work of this grant, it would stand to reason that this becomes a contingency item within the fund of the grant to be able to replace it. So hard-earned Hendry County taxpayer money is not what we're looking at to spend it. This is DEO grant money, or it could be AIA or Everglades money that pays for it. So we're not coming out of general fund.
Okay, very
They
good.
know that.
AIA was at the table the entire time,
And,
yes, sir.
and I knew that, but that was not what this read, and I wanted to make sure that we had that in public record.
We got it on
and,
record.
That's exactly right.
And to remind the board is that at the time that we close the sale to AIA, this lease is transferred into the AIA's interest. And all
Everything
of
where
its
it says Henry
liabilities.
County becomes AIA. Yes, sir. Okay, all right, that was a follow-up question, very good.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Turner. second by Commissioner Harris. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is requesting permission to purchase a parcel on Montero Ranch Estates. This is in the cluster of lots we're trying to assemble. There's a contract presented here.
So moved.
Second.
I got a question. Why the fluctuation of 2% on the closing, I mean, it's not closing costs, but on
Fees,
commission?
commission fees.
It's 8% on this piece. On the 4 parcels listed in Harlem, it was 10%.
Oh.
Or 750, whichever is higher. They're just looking at a threshold of what the total price potentially could render?
Well, I think generally, well, there isn't a general. We get 8, sometimes we get 10% sometimes. I can say we're selling to a different realtor a lot in Wheeler, and it was 8%. Montura, 8. Those have moved pretty well. They're pretty marketable, I guess you might say. And the Harlem lots have been harder to sell. And so thus a higher percentage for the realtor to sell them.
All right.
We got a motion on the floor, moved by Commissioner Swindle, second by Commissioner Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The last item is ratifying the extensions of the local state of emergency. We had number 19. that
Motion
was-
to approve.
And we did have number 20 that was issued last Friday that takes us through this Friday.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. Any further discussion?
How long do you expect to keep doing it, Mark?
We just talked about that today, or yesterday at our staff meeting. As long as we have debris operations going on, which are ongoing, we do have some, during the final stages of the cleanup of the roadsides and the chipping at the mulching or reduction locations. The bigger or remaining item is some snagging of ditches and canals that have trees in them, and so we were going to possibly keep it open for those. We had to discuss that a little bit more, Mr. Parker and I and others, as far as whether we're going to keep doing that. To keep it open for those, we're going to have to ask FEMA. I'm just remembering now, one of the important things we were going to check on was how FEMA felt about reimbursing us, if it was at all contingent upon when the work is done, if we have to be under state of emergency then, or if it's adequate that it was just an emergency when it happened, or when the harm got caused. So that's the question.
It don't hurt anything to do that.
It's really just paperwork is all it is. It's not a harm to us.
Just wonder. Thank you.
We're at the vote then.
We're at the vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can we have an update on the overall status of debris cleanup and the process of money flowing as it relates to our wonderful contract with Ashbrit and Thompson Consulting, is it?
Thompson Consulting. For the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. All the woody debris has been picked up, and as of today, I was informed that all the grinding was completed. So that's good. We haven't went to the natural waterways and did any cleaning or snagging of those, but all the wood debris, C&D's all been picked up.
Are you going to be doing some waterways?
Some,
Did I hear you say you're going to be doing waterways?
yes, like where trees were down.
The one
such
I've
as
been
like-
asking you, that,
No.
like that?
Not that one, like
Oh.
Pollywog, Jack's Branch, stuff like that where trees were down.
Where's Commissioner Swindle been asking you to fix?
Some ditch
Is
was
this
plugged
his
up.
yard? Is this
It's been that way for a year.
same thing Commissioner Harris as well?
Not quite.
I thought you couldn't do that.
Each one of you have a unique ask.
Dang, I
Yes,
thought
sir.
you couldn't do that.
Do what?
You said pollywog, Jack Branch, and all that.
No, I'm saying the trees are down in it.
I know
clean
it,
and
but I
snag.
thought you said you couldn't do it because
I never said that. I just said clean and snag to get funding to go in. We had to get right of entry, go in.
So you
pull
didn't
them
say
out.
do it. You said we got to get funding to do it.
Funding to do
Well,
it.
that's
We're not
Jennifer.
responsible for, we're not responsible for Pollywog. We're not responsible for Jack's Branch. We're not responsible for Whisper Creek. They're all private property. They're owned privately, but they're a natural flowway. But you can do clean and snag via right of entries to remove vegetation in order to approve drainage.
But we hoping FEMA's going to do that.
Do that have anything to do with Everglades Road? The
With,
trees on Everglades that we spoke about?
Evercane?
Evercane Road where the canal is?
no.
When we
That's
gonna-
going to get cleaned.
Yeah, that's a discussion we need to have.
This has to do with just natural flowways, trying to
But
prevent.
who owns it?
United States Sugar Corporation.
Well, then they need to clean it up.
Let's all slow down. Let's all slow down. We're good to go.
Well, the
Been like that
community
for,
is complaining about it, so we just need to.
41, been like that for 50 years. We need it done now.
First time for everything, so it needs to be addressed, and if you would address it, really would appreciate it, because the community.
Not his
has-
place to address it. It's the commissioner for that district. Just like it was not his place to address Flaghole, it was the commissioner for that district. I'm on it. Promise you.
So much.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
ain't talking sugar.
All right.
I'm just gonna say thank you, because you got a bunch of waterways cleared in my district, and maybe these guys didn't ask for
Hey.
it, I don't know.
Hey,
So thank you, Mr. Barker.
Okay.
Maybe you guys need to change your way of mowing, the way you're approaching Mr. Barker.
Okay. We
Oh, I'm
paid,
sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
I know, Margaret's not here either. We have paid Thompson Consulting some. We have more invoices. We're waiting from Thompson to come through. We just signed off on a bunch of invoices for Ashbrit. We had them revise their invoices to match the contract and to delineate between City of Clewiston, City of LaBelle, Central County, Port LaBelle, CDD, School Board, and Henry County itself. And so,
I'm just asking this question. I don't need to answer right now. But when y'all can get us an idea of when you think that the reimbursement from said entities, Port LaBelle, Central County, so on and so forth, will actually start to occur. And then just a rough estimate, if you think that'll be the last quarter of 18 or, maybe the third quarter of 18, I don't know. I think that's going to be a bit of a bear of a problem. But I'm proud that our board grabbed the bull by the horns and gave you essentially the tools in the toolbox to go out there and get that stuff done and get us back to normal as quickly as possible.
Why do you think it's going to be a bear?
Just because the paper trail, it's a nightmare situation anytime you're talking about the reimbursement process, and I can think of some of the people that are involved in those situations.
From the cities specifically and those boroughs?
Yeah, even the cities and those other 298s and whatnot, it's going to be, well, we said X and they did X and Y, and I don't think it's going to be a smooth process. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't.
We'll haul it back out there. Put it back out there then.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. And I will tell you all, and I've shared this with Charles. Did y'all have, when I was in Tallahassee, did y'all have the aftermath discussion? No. Has that? No. I think this process has sucked, just to be quite direct about it. And I don't think that's any one person's fault. I think that this is a growing pain that all of us have gone through together. I'm still looking forward to, I'll cater the dadgum dinner. I don't care. But we need to have a roundtable where we get Mike Boyle, Mr. Ron Zimmerly, Paul Paletti, and then all of their subsidiaries that were in the war room during these tumultuous times. And we need to have a very grown-up discussion that may very well get heated, but it needs to happen. And it's going to be healthy whenever we leave that room. And it may not happen in just one discussion. It may be 2 or 3 discussions. But I'm looking forward to us engaging in that process. I was very upset at a couple different emails, and I know you shouldn't write an email, just like you shouldn't respond in an emotional state. But I did a couple times. But I still think that we have time, and I'll still go back to, I'm looking forward to us taking the contract that we have with Ashbrit, ripping it up, and lighting it on fire, and celebrating that process is over, and then you and you and you and him getting our contractors that did the work anyway in a room and saying, what can you guys do X for, and how much is it going to cost us if these situations occur? And then we're going to go to fight in Tallahassee to make sure that the process doesn't rely on 1 or 2 contractors. And I will just tell y'all the political nightmare that could have unfolded. And I don't know if y'all saw any of the posturing, but there was a tremendous amount of it with these different, the 2 main contractors in the state. And some of those dollars, I think, really getting held up and then flowing from the federal side down to the state. And, we almost saw a couple political footballs getting thrown around, And I was shocked that we never saw, the whole thing of these Democrats are holding up, debris cleanup, or these Republicans are stopping the process. None of that. Thank the Lord none of that happened. But I want us to all get in a room and discuss that. And I'm sure we're going to have to advertise it. We need to, but we need to have that conversation.
Did all the counties have contracts?
No, sir, not all of them did. A huge percentage of them did, but there were some that absolutely didn't have anything. Just like if Shane if Charles and his staff didn't step up to the plate, in my opinion, and take on the burden, I can just speak specifically to the city of Clewiston, that we were so overtly criticized for in a wrongful manner, in my opinion, on a number of occasions. They might still have debris sitting up there. So, a yeoman's job to you to getting that done. But I still think it can be smoother. That's it.
I'd love to identify those counties who did not have contracts and kind of talk with them a little bit and see how that went.
Several that spoke in Sarasota, they did not have
Yeah.
it. When we were there,
Right.
several that spoke there, they did not have the.
That'll tell you.
Shane, do you disagree do you go to bed at night going, man, we just hit a knockoff grand slam and, we didn't make any mistakes? Or do you think I'm being a spoiled brat right now that's just angry?
In regards to debris pickup?
Yes, sir, the whole process. You think it went pretty daggum smooth?
I think it had hiccups in the beginning. I think it went smooth, but if I had to do it again, I would do some other things different in the process.
Okay.
I would do leaners and hangers earlier, only because I've never did a disaster debris cleanup, and we picked up the rows, we come back through and cut the limbs off, had to come back and pick it up, and nobody's really wanting to come back and pick up those few limbs.
Yeah.
So it'd been nice to do it more up front. But we all learn as we go, so we know how to handle it. The local contractors did step up. They did a good job. Only thing that concerns me is federal requirements, and that's something to be discussed when we have that meeting.
And that's gonna take legislation. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the big horses have gotten that market cornered,
And there's in the local vendors, they understand. They did a good job monitoring. That's a tricky one because they all have devices that they just log where you're at with GIS coordinates. They got a system where they can track all the locations. We don't have the staff. We'd have to hire tons of people just to run the program, to have updated equipment. If we bought the equipment, it'd be outdated at the time the next storm comes.
I'm not in favor.
They did a really good job. I can't complain about Thompson Consulting.
Well, they had to do it.
They had to. And we got lucky in that the people in the field, Dave Williams and Mike Wilson, we got along with them really good. It was just toward the end, we had some people coming in from other sections of the country that were contractors, such as for Ashbridge, showed up, put some kinks in the system. And
3 different times.
3 different times, like right here at the tail end,
Absolutely.
It messed everything up. Everybody was already in a groove and everything was going strong. But we got those worked out.
And listen, I am not upset that Thompson Consulting or Ashbridge had the contract. I'm not mad at them. But it does aggravate me that ultimately they don't do any of the work. They sub 100% of it out. If not 100%, okay, 99% of it out. And to me, that's where, that's not in your wheelhouse. That's not, that's where we have to have those conversations in Tallahassee or in DC to say, this is absolutely absurd. And let me tell you why. When Hendry County is paying this nominal number per yard, but Hendry County has multiple contractors that are ready to go turn a screw or pick up a limb and put it in a dump trailer and get it hauled off, don't penalize us because we don't have a bunch of paper pushers and a bunch of people that have lobbied the hell out of you guys in these higher offices to keep that sole source or that market cut off to our local people. So I want to get the facts. I want to be able to go to our congressional delegation. We're having a roundtable discussion with Congressman Diaz-Balart. I don't know. It's on my calendar. I don't know when it is. I hope that we'll have representation there from a county staff level, but I know I'm going to be there. And we need to be able to fix that. Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Do you think that our local contractors, regardless of the bureaucratic or the paper trail or any of that aspect of it, do you think that our local contractors could meet the requirements of performing the work?
Well, they did.
Yes, they did because with Ashbridge's contract.
You answered the question. That's it.
We had all local vendors
Yes.
until maybe a month into the storm, and we had 2 crews show up who actually were local vendors.
Yes.
One of them was definitely a local vendor, but was an Ashbridge contractor elsewhere and got brought in.
That's exactly right.
But honestly, Darris Trucking, Javier Darris, he actually teamed up as a contractor and brought in, became a bunch of harvesting companies come in because the fruit all got messed up. They had no work. They all came in. They were actually picking up.
And so everybody gets it. And the point I'm going to close with is that now there's just a percentage of dollars that could be flowing internally and or within our community that are leaving our community to go back to said company elsewhere located whenever our people were doing the work. And I would love to see our people capture a larger percentage of that pie. And if it's just a legislative, tweak in the books, I am in no way, shape, or form asking Shane Parker and or your staff to acquire more equipment or to have more people so that you can do the process. I'm not saying that.
No, we can never do that.
Okay, good. I just
And
want
I'm sure the contractors could do the grinding, the local contractors. They'd have to rent tub grinders.
Yep.
I don't know personally if any of them own tub grinders, but, Wary Truck Lines was the first tier contractor for Ashbridge. They grind. That's what they do.
and Shane, one other major point to this is not only in that percentage, but also now today, I'm a subcontractor to prime contractors throughout the entire state of Florida. And so now there's a hold whenever my money goes, when the DOT pays said prime contractor, there's a minimum requirement of 7-day hold before they have to pay me. That's 7 days that my money hasn't worked for me, that I'm paying percentage points on it, to someone else to be able to float. And I'm paying people that live in here, that are paying a mortgage, that are feeding mamas, feeding babies, and so on and so forth. And I just want to make sure that that's getting to our people. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
Shane, did some of the locals think it was too cheap? They wouldn't do it for the price?
Some locals wouldn't touch it for the price. A lot of them in Clewiston. I mean, I can name names if you want to, or I don't have to, but I can tell you a lot of contractors wouldn't do it. They said they were making more money elsewhere. Some said, yeah, I can make more money elsewhere, but some of them came back because they weren't making any money because due to traffic and congestion and how far they had to travel. Here it was easier to move around, in and out.
Ones I spoke to said the same thing. They said it really wasn't that much margin, but because they could haul multiple loads a day, that it was doable.
At least they had something.
That's right.
No traffic lights, hardly.
Right.
It was just moving. We did have some contractors who said they couldn't do it, and, they finally agreed upon a price, and they were doing it. They locked the whole place up, and they done it, so which turned out good.
And anyway, they're still putting out limbs.
We'll have to get code enforcement, because we're done.
They're still putting them out.
And the key to the whole thing, though, is like you said, let's capture as much of those funds as we can, keep them in county, rather than send them out of county. We went through this before with the contractors, when they worked on the buildings before. I had the pleasure, if you'd like to say that, of being with these in the past, hangars, buildings and different stuff, and we was beating our head against the wall, so I'm sure you probably did some of that too. Whereas we had local vendors and contractors come in, take care of the problem, situation done, and once again, the funds went out of the county. So we really need to work on that. I agree with Commissioner Turner wholeheartedly. We need to try to capture those funds and keep them here.
I ain't mad at him, but Ashbridge, their people ain't going to be buying a pig at the LaBelle Youth Livestock. They ain't going to buy a table at the Peace, Love, and Paul's. But Greg Westbury will, So.
On that subject, I need approval from the board to cut Ashbridge a check for $2,458,714.
We adjourn?
You need a motion to cut Ashbridge a check for 2.4 what?
$2,458,714 and some cents.
You check their numbers?
Miss Butler, Miss Butler, that will come, Mr. Chairman?
Out of disaster.
That will come out of disaster relief?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion to approve.
How long is it going to be before we get it back?
They can't answer that.
How many months?
How many years?
We don't know.
Years.
There's people that still hadn't been reimbursed from Matthew.
Yeah,
18 months
you're looking
ago.
at years there.
Well, let's hold that money then until we get our money.
Shane?
We got a motion by Commissioner Turner on the floor.
I'll just
Do we get a second on that?
He's second.
Huh?
I'll second.
Mr. Harris second. Is there any further discussion? Now, yeah, Shane. Shane, you want to get back in the fire?
No, we can't do anything about that.
I think Mr. Harris was just throwing you on the bus.
Probably was. We have more invoices coming, but I believe that was Ashbridge's invoices all their invoices up through the end of December for their total service, and we still have January's.
Once again, how much of that actually would have went to local contractors?
And how much of that is where I'm not patting us on the back, but, we didn't say, well, no, sorry, Port LaBelle Community Drainage District, that's your bag, figure it out. Sorry, City of Clueston, y'all go figure it out. We're worrying about the county. We jumped in, we got it done.
That was Central
There's a-
County, Port
there's a-
LaBelle, CDD,
I know,
Monterey
I'm just-
Ranch, private roads.
I don't want to throw them all under the bus. Thank you, though, Shane. But the gist is that's a huge part of that nut of 2.4. So.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Need to bring to your attention that Mrs. Franklin been waiting here with us, and we had already approved the agenda.
What's that?
Do we have a check from Ms. Franklin? Is that what I signed earlier?
Yes,
It's done.
I do have it.
Okay, we'll get it to her here real shortly. We're just about to get there, I think. Open to the hearing of the public. If anyone in the public would like to speak at this time,
Chair, while we're waiting for someone to make a decision, just as a follow-up, there is going to be the, I'll call it the hot wash. First hot wash will be Monday, January 29th, 2018 at 5:30 at Clueston City Hall, and we are catering that to be able to make sure that folks have enough time and ability to have a healthy discussion. An email invitation went out maybe a day or two ago. Ms. Davis and the emergency management crew should have a after-action report that has been developed from the staff-level discussions, and this would be keen on the elected officials' perspectives and the policymakers.
And did y'all blast an invitation out to all the other stakeholders as well?
Yes, sir. I
You
believe
have?
that's-
It's
Yes.
been done? Okay.
all righty, business by district. Let's just start with you, Mr. Swindle.
I just want to make sure everybody is aware, I'm sure, but just pleased to continue. The member of our family, Miss Emledge, is still pretty ill and recovering, and so please keep her in your thoughts and prayers and wish for a speedy recovery. I'm sure Myra especially wishes for a speedy recovery. Thank you.
Ms. Bird?
Well, I just want to thank Sabrina. I've been working real close with her with the housing. Looking forward for some infrastructure to come in to help us out in our county and our community. Is very much needed. Other than that,
Anyway, Myra and them's earning their money.
He wouldn't throw you on the bus, Myra.
Yeah, she's doing a good job.
Mr. Turner?
I apologize for missing the last board meeting, but as you all know, I was in Tallahassee on behalf of Hendry County. It was a great visit up there. Talked to a handful of legislators, spoke with the governor, and I'm looking forward to getting back engaged in that saddle up there. We have a fair amount of asks that are going through the process. It's nice to see how we're going about things a little bit differently this year, especially with regards to just maybe different avenues that we're pursuing to try to acquire funding for different projects or different requests that we have. So I think we're going to experience some success. I hope that the speaker doesn't go crazy and that they're able to stay, on task up in Tallahassee. But I will tell you the dynamics are odd up there this year. So it's going to be an interesting session. So. And we will have a meeting between now and the festivals that are coming up, but we're getting ready to get into that season, and it's just it's good to be home, experiencing this beautiful winter that we're having while we see the rest of the country just getting hammered. So, yeah.
All right, I'm kind of looking forward to the Tallahassee. It's be my first go around with this. We got some comfortable shoes, so we're going to be doing a lot of walking. So hopefully we can get, like you said, hopefully we get things moving forward and do good things for Hendry County while we're there. Really, that's about it myself. Anyone have anything else? Meeting adjourned.